Hi,
Okay.
Maria. Oh, is it recording? Oh, okay. Hi, Maria. Welcome into our office. I'm going to be interviewing you today about being a public relations specialist. I'm excited to have you here, and I'm excited to get to know you.
Excited to be here. Thank you so much, Nicole.
All right, so why don't we get this started? My first question for you, can you share an experience you had in dealing with a difficult person and how you handled that situation?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, right now I work at PetSmart, and while I work on the floor, part of my job is to get fish for people and make sure that the fish go into actual acceptable home for them. So this gentleman comes in, that I thought was a gentleman, to buy some fish, some goldfish. He wanted three goldfish, fancy goldfish at that, for his a gallon max bowl. So I said, I'm sorry, sir. Actually, they need at least 30 gallons and they will not survive in a bowl whatsoever. Their organs will just grow out of their bodies and they will die. And actually, your child would be so heartbroken if that would happen to their fish. So, we can look at other fish that you can put in a bowl that will not die. And he said, oh, that's really sad. Okay, yeah, I'll still get the fish. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I cannot sell you that fish with good conscience, knowing it's going into a bowl." And he said, "What are you, a fish police? Give me the damn fish." And I said, "I'm sorry, but I will not do that." And he asked me to get someone who will. So I got my manager, and my manager asked me what was going on. And the man said that he was getting fish for his 30-gallon tank, and I said that he actually mentioned that he was getting a for a bowl, and he said it was a 30-gallon bowl, which we all know doesn't really exist. So my managers looked at each other and said, we've never heard of that before. And he called them a fish police once again, and he said, it doesn't matter what I buy the fish for, even if I'm gonna feed it to the snake. And my manager said, well, now because you told me you were gonna feed it to the snake, we can't sell it to you at all. And he called my manager the F word and marched out of the store. And that was the last we've seen of it. Definitely a difficult person to interact with.
Yeah, that sounds like a crazy experience. I am sorry to hear that you had to deal with that type of person, but seems like you handled it very well. And I commend you for going to get your manager for that extra assistance.
Oh yeah, no, I would definitely not stoop down to his level and be disrespectful. All I can do is try and calm the situation down.
Mm-hmm. Great. All right. Now, can you provide an example when your ethics were tested? Has that ever been something that's happened to you before?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, every day someone tries to buy goldfish for a bowl, my ethics get tested because majority of the time it's just the parents that want their child to have a little fish and they don't care if it's gonna die, and I care because fish matters, like just like any little animals matter. And yeah, that's just what we do.
I think that's excellent. I think I would find myself in the same position as you. Um,
Yeah, it's difficult, when people don't care about other creatures like that.
mhm. They don't deserve the fish.
They don't.
All right. Now, can you share with me another experience, this one in which your ability to consider the costs or benefits of a potential action helped you choose the most appropriate action?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the other week in our grooming salon, I had this dog that was pretty nervous throughout its service, and I noticed that it was a pretty big dog, and it was 9-month-old puppy. So I knew that he was already stressed out, and just to keep an eye on him. So when I put him after his bath into the kennel to kennel dry, he was barking, but so do other dogs. So I didn't really think much of it. And then when I came back, my other groomer in the salon called me and she said, "Hey, get the manager and get over here." So I got the manager and I ran back into the salon and I saw like little droplets and pools of blood under the kennel that my dog was in. And there were like some blood on the door of the kennel as well. And I didn't realize what was going on. So the best action was to take the dog down out and see where the dog was bleeding from to figure out if we need to take it to the vet and if we need to, give it the first aid. And so after we couldn't find where the blood was coming from, the dog seemed to be okay. It calmed down once we took it out of the kennel. So we figured that the best decision would be to call the pet parent and give the dog back because it was clearly way too stressed out to continue the service and actually dry off the dog. So I called him and I said, "Hey, I'm sorry, your pup got stressed out and we had to finish the service because he started bleeding in the kennel. We still cannot find where it's coming from, but he seems to be all right. He's calmed down. He just needs to be checked out." So his pet parent came over and he seemed totally fine. He said it's okay. Like he seemed to be a little bit anxious in the morning, and he just picked him up and left. And I feel like I handled it the best way I could possibly do it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to prevent that from happening, but at least he seemed to be all right.
Well, I'm glad. It seems like the dog was all right, and I think if I were in your position, I would do the same. There's, not much else you can do in that position. Thank you for sharing that experience with me.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Okay. Can you provide a time when you dealt calmly and effectively with a high stress situation?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of years ago, I had a job at Benihana. I was a head host there, and one of our the busiest nights of the year was actually Christmas night. And there was a lot of family dinners that we're hosting on the Christmas night. Well, our management just switched, and we were lacking chefs to begin with. So some of the chefs that were frustrated with not getting time off just didn't show up on the Christmas dinner. So, and Benihana is all about a chef, so you can't really have a show without a chef performing in front of you. And we, as hostesses, were forced to call people and tell them that their Christmas dinner is canceled because our chefs did not show up to work and we cannot accommodate them, unfortunately. And I was yelled at several times. I was cast out. Yeah, it was a very miserable night. And I feel like there was a lot of stress going on around us because there were people that wouldn't get the call and they would show up and they would just yell at us. But you just push through it.
I'm so sorry to hear that you had to deal with that on your own Christmas night.
Yeah, well, you you win some, you lose some.
I think that's a marvelous attitude to have. You did the best that you could in your situation, and there's not much you can do when stuff like that happens.
I certainly did my best to handle it the best I could and to just, try and not take the reactions personally because whether or not people are screaming, unfortunately, I have nothing to do with it. They can control the situation. I can just be there.
hmm That is excellent. All right, and my last question for you today is another one. Hoping you could share an experience or name a time when your patience was tested. How did you keep your emotions in check?
Yeah, absolutely. So, our patients gets tested quite a bit in the salon department. So, one time I had a pretty busy day to begin with, and I was just trying to get all my dogs done and finished to the best of my abilities. So, one of my dogs was pretty difficult. Every dog has different likes and dislikes. Some dogs are not okay for nail clipping, some dogs are not good for buying. And I usually like to tell that to pet parents, just let them know that, hey, your dog doesn't like this, doesn't like that. So I was bringing out the dog, and this lady that was picking it up was paying for the dog. But I have a terrible memory on faces, so I had no idea what she looked like. So the guy who came up to grab the dog, I figured that I will just tell him about the service that I just performed on the dog because, if it's not the owner, would probably not grab the dog. So I start talking to him, and she said, excuse me, talk to me. So I look at her and I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you were in here. So I tell her, hey, the dog did really, really good. She was a really good girl. It's just, on the nail, she was a little bit shaky. And she was very uneasy about velocity dryer. However, it is totally normal. A lot of dogs don't feel too easy about velocity dryers because it does sound like a vacuum. And she looked at me and she said, I've been coming here for years and my dog has never had any sort of problems. Like, are you sure that was it? And I said, oh, no, ma'am, I'm sorry. Like, this is not a problem at all. I was just letting you know how your dog reacted to a certain service. Um, like, it wasn't me trying to tell you your dog has a problem whatsoever. And she said, oh, well, I've been coming to this bather's name for a while now, and she never said that my dog had any sort of problems like that she didn't like something. My manager had to step in and say that bather doesn't actually groom here anymore, and since then she's been bouncing around, and it is potential that her dog could have developed that dislike towards velocity dryer, after which she gave me a pretty bad look. And then she's like, here's a tip. So she handed me the tip and I said, oh my god, thank you so much, I really appreciate it, see you next time. And she was walking away, she said mm-hmm, and left the building.
Wow, that that is definitely something where patience can be tested. I feel like in dealing with guests and clients, they're not always the ideal picture perfect guest and client, and it's hard, but you seem in all of these experiences you've shared with me like a person who approaches them each with calm and you handle it. And because of that, I think I would like to hire you today. I really enjoyed speaking with you and learning about you, and maybe we can discuss doubling your salary.
Oh my goodness, Nicole, thank you so much. You will not regret giving me this opportunity.
I know I won't. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.